but there are some people who are joining us from the US. So good morning to those of us who are in the US. I'd like to welcome Jonah Mushangi from the Zimbabwe Embassy in DC in the United States, and also Andrea Jo from ZIDA, who are going to be our main speakers today, talking about agricultural sector opportunities in Zimbabwe. I think we all know that we are blessed with a lot of fertile land. We do have a lot of export opportunities that have been unlocked already in terms of your horticulture, as well as basic food exports. And we now want to hear more in terms of what can be practically possible in terms of further trade, in terms of agriculture, what can be done in the Zimbabwean agricultural sector, seeing as it seems that there are opportunities still for growth, development, and maybe value adding in terms of agricultural production. So maybe without any further ado, if I can start by introducing Andrea. Andrea is from ZIDA, and we'd like to hear more in terms of the opportunities that are available in Zimbabwe. I would ask Andrea if you can do maybe 25 minutes maximum in terms of your presentation, and then we will ask questions at the end. So those of you who've got questions, please feel free to post the questions on the chat. And then also Jonah, I'll then introduce Jonah. Jonah can come in with his presentation. And then we ask questions and then draw some conclusions at the end of the webinar. So please feel free to start asking questions as soon as our speakers start. But otherwise, over to you, Andrea.
All right, thank you. Just to check, can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen as I have a presentation to share. Just one moment. Okay, all right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and good morning to those that are in America. It is my pleasure to present the investment opportunities in Zimbabwe's agriculture sector. So this is just a brief overview of one of the topics I'll be going through this afternoon. I'll start on investing in Zimbabwe. So this image and this information that I've put out here is just an overview of the Zimbabwe investment landscape, which shows basically the agriculture potential, and also shows that our economy is mainly based on the agriculture sector. So we really rely on the agricultural sector for our economic growth as well. And through ZIDA, we are committed to making those agriculture investment opportunities more bankable through our works with our business development department, as well as our MDAs that we have. I'll then now look into the agriculture investment statistics.
I just got the link from her. Yeah, from Ivy.
Sorry, please, can I just ask?
All right, I'll just continue. Sorry about that. So what I'm going to discuss now is some of our key metrics and key statistics between the years 2022 to 2025. So agriculture has consistently attracted strong investor interest, ranking among the top sectors of licensed investments in the second quarter of 2025. Agriculture accounted for a significant share of approved investment licenses, with notable growth such as horticulture, dairy, and crop production. So the next few slides would basically show the visuals of those agriculture investments. So this one is the amount of investment licenses that we at ZIDA have recorded from the year 2022 until now. As you can see, it's a bit of a slow growth, but it's one of the sectors where we're really trying to push for those investments to increase. But this is not really a reflection of what is happening on the ground. These are the investors that are currently licensed with ZIDA, but we do know that there are other investors who are working on the ground who might not be licensed with ZEDA as well. Then just to break down those agriculture investments, we've put them into the subsector where people are mainly investing in, as you can see, is the agro-processing, then comes the crop production, along with the others. So this is a breakdown of those licenses under the agriculture sector, divided into subsectors between the years 2023 and 2025 to date. Some of our top agriculture investments by country are the following, and we from America we have one, which we hope that in the future that will increase. But like I said in the beginning, that this is just a reflection of what we have recorded as our investment registered licenses in the organization. The agriculture value chain investment opportunities. So Zimbabwe offers a wide range of opportunities across the agriculture value chain. These include horticulture, which is amongst tea, coffee, bananas, potato, fresh produce, as well as maize and tobacco. So the next slide that I have here is about the horticulture industry potential. This shows that within the horticulture industry, there's a lot of potential for investment, mainly to name a few: blueberries, macadamia, and avocado are our big investment needs at the moment, as these are some of the products that Zimbabwe is also exporting into European markets as well. And then we also have livestock production, such as the dairy value chain, which is also a very growing sector where we are seeing lots of investment coming in terms of external investors as well as our domestic investors' interests. We also have our agri-technology and farm services. This is where we have our manufacture and assembly of tractors, combined harvests and implements. Then we also have our fertilizer manufacturing, which is basically mainly where our brownfield projects are, which is the refurbishment of existing companies that will unlock capacity of the fertilizer manufacturing sector, as well as irrigation development. So as you know, irrigation is a very important part of agriculture. So it comes, there is plenty of opportunities in that subsector. Then we have our logistics, which is where the cold chain infrastructure development and services. This is an area that we've seen that is currently growing, and we're seeing a lot of potential in terms of our growth within that area. A lot of investors have been inquiring on this, so we hope that this is a sector, this is an area of value chain that we hope to grow in the near future. How to set up and invest in Zimbabwe. So as ZEDA, our mandate is to bring investment into the country. This can be done either by domestic direct investment or foreign direct investment. So we help the investors go through these three phases, which is we promote the investment and then we then facilitate our investors. So under this facilitation, it's anything to do with registering their company, making sure that they have the right licenses, or any issues that they may face in terms of initial getting on the ground and getting their business running in Zimbabwe. And then we also have investment protection, where our aftercare section comes in, where we try to make sure that any grievances that the investor has are protected, and also that we can assist them so that they don't have a hard time in terms of establishing and running a business in Zimbabwe. We have three categories of investments. One is our general investments, which will just be anything that is gray listed sectors. Anything that is not listed in the gray listed sectors. And then we have our public-private partnerships, where we work with government and private sector within that investment. And then we have our special economic zones, which are areas that are designated for specific investment initiatives. So we have about 3 of those, which you can also see in our ZEDA prospectus as well. So recently we have launched what we call an e-regulations portal, and this portal enables investors to go to one site to access all the information and registration platforms. So anywhere from registering a company to getting the licenses, they just need to go into this portal, register their business, and they're able to do most of their registration of their permits or licenses through this platform. It's a newly launched platform, and at the moment we have about 20 MDAs who are also a part of this e-regulations portal. So as an investor, when you come into the country, this is kind of the investment journey that you will take. You'll go through the processes, as I mentioned, of registering the company. And then with Zeda, you will license, the investor will license with us. So some of the benefits of those licenses we could share after the meeting. But one of those licenses include having the ability to also repatriate the money, the profits that the investor has made within the country out of the country, basically back to the host country or any other place where they would want to send back the money. After that process is done, and then we now move on to the establishment, which is now where we're still facilitating the investor, and then aftercare and M&E falls under the protection of the investor. So maybe the investor has invested in something in the horticulture sector and now wants to expand. We also help by helping with our M&E team to help evaluate their investment and see which potential areas or places that they can expand their business into the market. So this is kind of just a summary of what our investors have a right to do. As I mentioned, they have a right to freely repatriate their capital. They can establish their company with 100% ownership, as well as acquire land and property for their investment projects. These are some of the brief explanations of what the investors also have a right to do. As I mentioned earlier, we do have an investor grievance response mechanism, which is used by already existing investors who are in the country or those who are trying to come into the country who are facing issues. This platform allows for those investors to report on their issues that they're facing, and us as Zeda will work with the government agencies to make sure that their issues are addressed in a timely manner, because we do know that sometimes as an investor, there are certain issues that you come across which you're probably not sure of how to deal with them. So this platform comes as a way of aftercare for those investors. Just to highlight some of our projects that are in our project prospectus, specifically in the agriculture sector. We have, first of all, this AgriStrong, which is a beef and dairy farming venture, which is the project cost is about 6 million, and they're targeting an annual calf production of 3,000. And then we have our special economic zone, which I mentioned earlier. One of them within the agriculture sector is in Goromonzi Agro Processing and Industrial Park, which is asking for 1.5 million. So special economic zones work differently from our general investments, but you'll be able to see more detail of that in our project prospectus as well. Then we also have our Mossfield crop production farming venture. Also our Cicada macadamia avocado plantation expansion project. Misty Mountains coffee production, Four Ways livestock production, and Questfontaine intensive beef feedlot project. As I mentioned earlier, all these projects can be found on our project prospectus, and I'm sure this presentation will also be shared with you. So if you then have any other questions regarding those projects, you can reach out to us directly. So in brief, this is basically the agriculture sector opportunities that are available in Zimbabwe. If you have any questions, please do feel free to contact and we can discuss more, or if there's anything that we haven't touched on in enough information, you can also just reach out to us and we'll be happy to assist you as an investor as well as somebody who is looking to get a project financed as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Andrea, for that very detailed presentation. It's very good to hear that, you've got different platforms that are coming up, your e-regulations portal, which is now done, and we want to see investors using those, and also your investor grievance. Maybe because we've still got a little bit of time for you, do you just want to touch on, you've shared, a lot of investment opportunities in Zimbabwe. You've talked about, the different projects that are in the prospectus. Do you just want to touch on companies that may have their own individual projects or their own individual investment ideas, how they can then come to Zida for assistance? What do they need to bring to you if they've got their own ideas in terms of investment areas?
So what we would have to do is meet with them directly, kind of have an idea with their project proposal, and we'll sit down with them with our business development team to see how we can make their project into a bankable investment. And then from there, that project, depending on through the processes that we do here, will then be put into our project prospectus. And as an investment promotion department, we will then promote that project investors, not just locally or within the region, but also internationally. Any issues or any structural issues or financial issues that you might want us to structure for you, it's a support that we have within the agency. So we're able to help people who also have their own for example, project idea, or maybe they want to expand certain things within their business. We are also able to assist with that. You're muted, sorry.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Andrea. So we're now going to move on to the presentation from Jonah Mushai, who is based in DC in the US, and he's mainly going to be focusing on regulations and also product opportunities in the US. So over to you, Jonah.
Thank you, Dudu, and thank you, Andrea, for the presentation and for setting the tone. I would like, maybe before I start my presentation, just to applaud this approach where AmCham is organizing such platforms which are useful exchanges. We value this so much. Actually, Americans, they feel much confident when they do deal with such organizations like yours. So we look forward to more of this and participating in many of your programs. In the next series of your webinar, we would like actually to have some speakers from this site who would be able to speak on various topics. And I think with Ivy, we are already organizing maybe part 2 of this. We will have some speakers from this side. Just like as Dudu said, my name is Jonah. I am the Trade and Investment Officer at the level of Minister Councillor at the Embassy of Zimbabwe in Washington, D.C. Basically, I focus on 3 main pillars. I'm sorry I didn't have my presentation to share, but after this I will be able to share it with you. So I'm saying I'm at the embassy. I'm basically responsible for 3 main pillars. That is the economic pillar, the trade development pillar, and also the investment promotion pillar. And this is in line with the new thrust of government, which is to promote economic diplomacy. Actually, our Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Trade is going through a transformation where the focus is going to be on economic and commercial diplomacy. So we now play a very important role in advancing economic diplomacy. So I'm going to share with you the current trade and development between the US and Zimbabwe. I might say that we are very happy with the way in particular trade between the US and Zimbabwe is unfolding. Actually, when I came here in 2023, we have been able to grow our exports to the USA by almost 100% each year, because in 2022, we had about 11 million exports that we recorded, which jumped in 2023 to 26 million. And also in 2024, we recorded 48 million. However, this year, it has been a challenge in the sense that I think it might be a response to the uncertainty relating to the tariffs that has been muted since the second administration, the Trump administration came into. You will recall that there's been a lot of uncertainty with respect to tariffs. That seems to have affected our exports so far this year. We are down by, compared to last year. I think the statistics that I do have up to May shows that we have only done about 9 million, whereas last year, this time around, we were at around 13. And in overall, the imports into the US, as a result, they've declined by 40% this year. So it explains the reason why we have also been affected by that. But we see this as a market with a lot of opportunities. Actually, I must say that we do have a lot of demand for our agricultural products, simply because of the way in which they are grown, more like organic. They are very in high demand. But I must say that when you look into our trade basket, the figures that I've shared with you, the exports are dominated by a narrow basket with very few commodities. Our tobacco is the dominant in that basket, accounting for almost 80% of the total exports. We do have other, exports that we do, but not consistently. We do have a coffee. Here and there, we do export coffee. We do also have vegetables and other small products. Other than this, we also have high demand for our precious stones. Those actually Zimbabwe's artifacts. Those are actually in also in high demand. So, but what we have done in terms of consolidation and expansion of our markets, we actually did a study a couple of years ago where we tried to identify the 5 topmost products that are coming into the US. And we identify where are these products going. And also we then identified what should we do in order to expand on these products. Like, for example, we have identified that the top 5 products that are imported into the USA is iron and steel. We also have agricultural products. We also have sugar, confectionery, and we also have non-ferrous metals. So what we did is, where are these products going? You know, America is a big country, 50 states. It's like 50 countries put together. So we identified where are these products going. For example, we identified that most of our agricultural products are being consumed in North Carolina. They are also being consumed in New York and in Pennsylvania. And then after we have done that, and then we said, other than from Zimbabwe, which other states are the biggest consumers of our agricultural products in this particular way, in this for the same particular products, but not necessarily coming from Zimbabwe. We then identified that the biggest consumers of the same products, but from the rest of the world, is North Carolina, California, Florida, Virginia, and New Jersey. So this information has been very useful in terms of us developing our own strategy. If we want to expand our markets, we can then target those states that consume the same type of products, but not necessarily from Zimbabwe. And this has been very helpful in terms of expansion into the new markets. We have also seen that in terms of the opportunities, in terms of the opportunities and also the regulatory environment, you'd find out that the agricultural products are the most regulated and restrictive when it comes to the importation of this or export of those products into this country. They are subjected to a rigorous process, which in some cases it would require that they are commodity specific regulations. There are also permits that you have to get for you to be able to import certain types of products. You also have to comply with the import requirements in terms of the completing all the necessary forms that are required, import declarations. In some cases, you have also to comply with the necessary labeling for those items and ensure that all the documentations are in place. So this has been the most difficult part when it comes to exports, particularly of agricultural products. It has not been easy for this country, particularly for fresh products like horticulture, citrus, and the like. So apart from that, we have also realized that there are capacity issues on our side in terms of being able to supply the required quantities consistently. For example, we have been approached with certain companies that require our citrus fruits, and they wanted 5 million products per year, and then we could not be able to satisfy that demand. We also received demand for our coffee, export of coffee, but obviously we also have not been able to meet that same type of demand. So it's when you view it in this way, yes, the market is difficult, but at the same time, we also see that we do have capacity constraints that hinder us from supplying, and which is something that we also need to address as we try to consolidate and capture new markets in this way. What we then did was there are products that are coming, particularly in terms of the processed agricultural products. We have designed also a new strategy of how we need to introduce certain agricultural products into this market, and that strategy is working. We are working with a number of stakeholders, and we've established warehousing across the USA. We've established big warehouses in Virginia. We have also established a warehouse in Chicago, Illinois. We have also established a warehouse in North Carolina. These are the individuals that are importing these particularly processed agricultural products. And this is doing very well. The only challenge is that the quantities that are being imported and the pricing of it is not that the quantities are not that much to be able to really satisfy the market. But because of this strategy, we are enabling the availability of products into this economy, into this country. So you'd find out we are working with a number of suppliers in Zimbabwe. We are working with Canes, we are working with Dairy Body, we are working with Nestle, we are working with Sweps. All these companies, they are now supporting us by supplying their products into the country, into this economy. So this has been very useful. Now, when I've talked about the challenges and also what we think should be done in order to enhance our market consolidation in the USA. It is most ideal that if we do have consistency in terms of supply, because this market, sometimes if we want your products to be available in big supermarkets like Walmart, these are the big supermarkets here, they would require constant supply. And therefore, we need to enhance the capacity in terms of our companies being able to supply consistently. And also, in order to be able to understand the requirements, it is important that we work with experts that are able to provide guidance when it comes to the export, because there's so much that is required. You will recall that we had a mission that came to Zimbabwe sometime last year. Within that mission, it was from the Atlanta. We had actually seconded a trade expert who actually had come up with a very good framework to organize our community, our business community, so that they're able to supply products into the America with her support. So we identified, she wanted us to identify about 20 products that she's going to work with companies, and she was going to actually develop a supply chain strategy that helps them from actually how we should label our products, how we should navigate through the customs procedures, and all the other requirements that are necessary. We believe that, but because of the issues of capacity, we have not been able to take that opportunity to work with that trade expert. But this is the one way that we need, if our companies are actually to dominate and to be able to supply and capture this market, we need an expert that is able to work with the different suppliers and be able to navigate through the customs procedures, and the whole supply value chain, so that he is able to work with to capture the market. So that has been the issues in terms of what we think needs to be done. So yeah, so that's what I can say in terms of our exports into the USA. Suffice to say that the export basket remains narrow. We are navigating through, and we need to expand our export basket, and we need to work closely with the industry players, the stakeholders, and all the other companies that are interested in exporting into the USA. And I think working with organizations like AmCham and also the industry bodies, that reality can be achieved. I thank you.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Jonah. Thank you for mentioning also the trade expert that you were working with in terms of seeing how we can unpack, the regulations, because they are quite stringent. We also were working with the US Embassy here in Zimbabwe. They also provided us with a trade expert in terms of just talking to the market to just further unpack, to say, okay, these are the requirements in broad terms. And I think there was a lot of dialogue in terms of people getting into the specifics of the challenges that were there in terms of the regulation. But the embassy here is also assisting in terms of unpacking the regulations in order to be able to increase trade. But I think, like you rightly say, there's the challenge of capacity. And, we've been looking at this agricultural sector webinar as being a series of webinars. I think today is the first, and we will have, follow-on discussions. And one of the important discussions which we've started having in the background is to bring in Zimtrade. Zimtrade should be able to then assist us, hopefully, in terms of consolidation of product, which may be present, but we don't necessarily know how to, package it into a large consignment. So where you mentioned, for example, let's say there are 5 million units that are needed, And, I myself, or let's say AmCham has 50 units, you yourself have 1,000,000 units, and someone else has the balance, Zimtrade can then work on in terms of consolidating the volumes in order for us to then build the capacity to export. And individually, we can then also grow and become individually, bigger in terms of having collaborated and worked together, because we don't want to lose those markets. So I think it's very important, the work that that you have been doing, and we try and see how we can just push and carry that forward. So thank you very much, Jonah, for the presentation. So on the chat platform, I don't see any questions. Maybe we can take questions. Please feel free to put your hands up and ask any questions that you need to. We do have representatives from the AmCham board on the call, and also the US Embassy here in Harare. So any comments, questions for Andrea and Jonah? I'm not seeing any hand raises. I'm hoping this speaks to how clear the information was. But maybe while people are preparing themselves for asking questions, Jonah, you were talking about warehousing. That there's several warehousing opportunities now across the states. Are you able to give an indication to say top products that are currently being warehoused that are coming from Zim?
Yes, thank you, Dudu. Yes, this warehousing, they actually accommodate any of the products that we wish to export. They accommodate all the products that are in demand. For example, like I said, the companies that seems to be the biggest suppliers of these products at the moment are the ones that I've alluded to. We have Cane's Foods, we have Deadbot, we have Nestle, we have Schweppes. A variety of all those products are finding also their way into this market. Then it's actually a warehouse that stocks Zimbabwean products. It's like you are getting into TM or K supermarket in America. That's what it essentially resembles. So you get almost or everything that you may want. We also the warehouse that we've established in that we have in Chicago is actually an African warehouse that initially catered for products from Uganda and Kenya. So we discussed with them, and Zimbabwe was also included to be to be a participant in that regard. So, but they've been importing bulky solid agricultural products into the USA, like coffee and other products. We have not yet utilized the Chicago facility warehouse at the moment because we are not able or we have not been able to get any companies that want to participate in bulk importation of such solid agricultural products. But the one also in Carolina, it's similar. It just houses most of the agricultural products because our products really, particularly the horticulture agricultural products, they are in high demand here. And I think the biggest issue is the capacity to supply and also the requirements that are quite complicated. And I think, like you rightfully say, if we are able to work with an expert who are willing to do that, we can be able to navigate through the processes.
Thank you very much for that, Jonah. Maybe we can move to Monica. Monica, you can unmute your mic. Monica has a question.
So much. I have a question for Andrea. She mentioned that in terms of investors, and investors have the right to establish companies with 100% foreign ownership, and that they would be able to send back their profits back to the US. I just want to confirm, is that would that not be in breach of the Indigenization Empowerment Act that speaks of that within companies there needs to be that minimum 51% shareholding by a Zimbabwean? That would be the first question. And then my second question would be to Jonah. His presentation was actually very insightful. He did mention that there was a study that was done to identify the 5 top products that were coming into the US as well as the states in which they were going to. Would he then be able to share that study, or where can I access that study? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Monica. So we'll start with Andrea. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your question, Monica. So in terms of the investor breakdown in terms of ownership as well, I think it's mainly to do with foreign investors. So it's mainly that a law that falls under our ZEDA license. So if they're coming as an investor that's not licensed with ZEDA, then it would be the case would be the 51 ownership by a Zimbabwean entity. But if they come through and they have a ZEDA license, then they do have a right to have 100% ownership of that company.
May I also just add there for you, Andre, that there are certain sectors, not in agriculture, but there are other sectors where there is, prescription in terms of the minimum local percentage shareholding. But you rightly say
Yes.
that is not there.
Yes, so I was speaking in regards to agriculture, but there's obviously certain sectors where it's important that different percentage shareholding is there, which is information that we can share with people if they need that information. But thank you so much, Monica, for pointing that out.
Thank you. So over to you, Jonah.
Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, we did that study with the help of experts here in the USA who were able to just give us that intelligence to be able to know what products are coming in, which states are consuming those products, and then they went further to describe the states that import the same products, though not coming from our own country. So it was a very useful piece of information that we have embraced also in our trade and investment strategy, and it's helping us in terms of market consolidation and market expansion. So yes, the study is there. We can share it with you. We can share it with you so that at least you can be able to also use it. I mean, if you are interested in doing business in America, we have already discussed the same strategy and shared it with Zimtrade and other stakeholders. So similarly, we can make it available as well.
Thank you very much for that, Jonah. So you can share it with us. You can share it with Ivy, and then we'll share it with those that are on the platform. Thank you very much for that. Are there any more questions? If not questions, maybe comments to our two speakers.
Dudu, we've got Takunda Chiweza. His hand is up.
Oh, okay. Please go ahead, Takunda. Sorry, I can't see hand raises actually.
No problem. Thank you guys very much for setting up this platform. I work in logistics and primarily facilitate for movement of legal hemp cannabis. We often receive requests to move product into the United States, which is a market that I personally always refuse to serve because we operate in a really gray area whereby some states may agree to receive that product and some states may not. So as a whole, we just don't service the entire United States and primarily focus on Europe. So I think I may have missed this, but um, does the embassy or AmCham or ZIDA, one of these organizations, have an asset or a resource that can help in directing with regards to the legal regulations and compliance on a state-to-state basis in the United States for such products?
I'll ask Andrea, and then Jonah maybe can come in.
Thank you for that question. Sorry. Thank you for that question, Takunda. So regarding those legal exporting requirements, I think Zimtrade would be the best organization to get a hold of, and they will be able to guide you in terms of what is needed. But I'm sure also Jonah is also able to provide what necessary steps that you need to take.
Yeah, so if I get the question correct, you're asking for what type of resources? If you are saying resources, are you talking about financial resources to support or what? Maybe if I can get that clarity.
Okay, in that regard, I just mean, is there a certain, officer or someone who is clued up on what are the legal requirements to be able to import hemp cannabis within the varying the varying states. So, for example, California may be friendly to receiving hemp imports, while another state may not be friendly to receiving those imports. So, as a whole, as a company, we just do not service the United States in total because of the discrepancies between the different states and their policy with regards to hemp imports.
Okay, I got you. No, that's precisely the reason for our existence at the embassy. You remember the commercial office, the one that I superintend at the embassy, is basically meant to provide that type of intelligence, market intelligence, that is designed to promote the business between the two countries. And so if you so desire to establish and to export, to do business, we are the office that can rightfully serve you. We can actually if you can actually submit, I'll share my email. You can actually give us the specific concept of what you intend to do. Then we will be able to provide you with the market information that we require. We work with a number of stakeholders here, both in government. In actual fact, the commercial office for all the embassies actually is attached to the Department of Commerce. We are also attached to the Department of Agriculture. We can actually get all the necessary information both by our accreditation. We have the right to receive such type of information that we can then disseminate to the different stakeholders. So I think it's something that is doable. You just send us the request, and then we should be able to process and give you the information that is required. If you so wish also for AmCham to have this as a dedicated webinar that we can actually organize experts from the different government institutions to speak about the regulation. I mean, it's another way also that we can actually approach, but all the same, we are here to provide you with that support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jonah. Definitely your contact would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you very much, Jonah, for offering to assist. It is always a challenge, I think, navigating when you're trying to trade with a country for the first time. So it's good that we've got linkages that can assist us to do so on both sides, on the Zimbabwe side and also in the US. Thank you. Any other questions? Ivy, you'll help me if you can see any hand raisers, because I'm not seeing any on this side.
It doesn't look like there's any other questions.
Okay. So I will just make the offer one more time. Any final questions for our two speakers today? Going once, going twice. So thank you very much, Andrea and Jonah. Very insightful presentations. Thank you for touching on the key points and the key issues. This is the first in a series of webinars around the agricultural sector. So we are going to be focusing on the main export sectors in Zimbabwe. So this is the agricultural sector webinar, where we're looking at just unpacking Zimbabwe's agricultural potential, because we do have a lot of potential both on the investment opportunities, trade opportunities, and also sustainable practices. So if you do have any ideas or thoughts in terms of areas that you would like us to cover, please just put those into the chat before we conclude today's discussion. Or you can get hold of AmCham team and drop us an email so that at least we know the areas that you would like us to focus on going into the future. So thank you very much for those presentations, and thank you very much for taking the time to come and join us on the webinar today. We will have a second part where we will also be looking at various speakers who can talk a little bit more about sustainable practices, and also hopefully get some testimonials from investors who are American, who have come into the Zimbabwean arena, and just hear how they're doing business and what additional opportunities they seek or areas of collaboration. So AmCham, we want to continue being knowledge sharing platform, a knowledge sharing platform, so that at least we can share information in order for us to grow. So this is to make Zimbabwe shine and the US shine as well. I know there are some challenges in the market, but we will overcome. Both the US Embassy and the Zim Embassy, they're dedicated to growing investment and trade between the two countries. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining the meeting. Ivy, maybe if you just leave the platform open for another 2 minutes so that anyone who wants to type suggestions can then type in their suggestions. I see others are typing in their emails. Then we can help you with your requests for information. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. And we hope to see you at part 2. We'll post on the website the next dates and also email the invitation for the second part. Thank you very much, Andrea and Jonah, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.